Hey, hey, it's Dana, the Gypsy Psychic. Are you ready for another message? Come on in and get comfortable. Put your feet up, get your blanket, a pillow, something to eat, something to drink, something to smoke. Throw it up on the big screen if you want to. Put in the earbuds, kick back and relax because we're going to unpack some psychic messages. Spirit, please tell us about the bodies that are showing up across New England, Spirit. Is there a serial killer on the loose? Is there someone that is responsible for all or the bulk of the bodies that are showing up? Is there something that, what do we need to know about this? Who is this? Who is this? Why are they doing what they're doing? Why are they choosing the people that they choose? What do they need to get accomplished here, Spirit? Why is this happening? Is it connected? And why is it happening? Who is doing this? And why are they doing it? And how can we find them? How can we figure this out? Yes. How are they targeting the people that are dying, Spirit? Is there any validity to a serial killer being loose on the East Coast, Spirit? Is there any information? Oh, right there. Right there. All right. All right, you guys, I want to preface this reading by saying, A, I don't watch the news very much at all because I like to keep my vibration high, I like to keep my frequency high, and I like to focus on the things that are meaningful in life on purpose. So I don't watch the news very much. And I used to be a private investigator. I used to be involved in the police department. So I am a true crime serial killer aficionado, okay? I dig it. I love it. Forensic files, forensic crime, all of that kind of stuff. I absolutely love it. So, a few weeks ago when I heard across the headlines that there were some bodies showing up in New England, I immediately knew that there was a serial killer of some sort on the loose, okay? So, I asked, right? Who is this? Why is this person doing what they're doing? What do we need to look out for? Where do we need to look? What do we need to know about this whole situation? Okay, this person, now I get masculine energy from this. Now it doesn't mean that it is a guy per se, but whomever is perpetrating some kind of fuckery over on the East Coast has very strong masculine tendencies and masculine energy. All right, first card out the box is Judgment. This person is killing people because they deserve it. All right, now I'm not saying that they do, okay? I am reading from the first person perspective. All right, so don't hold any of this against me. Don't come at me because this is not what I'm saying. This is the story that I'm reading from the cards. Just like if you picked up a children's storybook and you read it, right? You can't disagree with what the story says. You might not like the story, but it's not up for discussion. It is what it is. Same thing with the cards when I channel, okay? It just is what it is. So, first person perspective, not my perspective, Judgment. This person is killing people because they think they deserve it. Nine of Swords. The people that this person kills has caused some kind of injury to the we're going to call him, what him? I say him because it's masculine energy. We're going to call it Bob, okay? We're going to call the serial killer Bob throughout this entire reading, okay? We're going to give it a name, and we're going to call it Bob. So Bob says the people that he kills deserves it because they have caused him pain or injury in some way. The Moon in reverse. This Moon in reverse is talking about bringing something to the surface. So the people that are the victims in this situation, the victims of Bob, the serial killer, okay, the people who are the victims somehow stirred up something that this person really tries, Bob really tries to keep under control. Okay, Bob struggles throughout this whole reading with keeping himself under control. All right. And then the Nine of Pentacles. Nine of Pentacles kind of goes along with this Judgment card. This Nine of Pentacles talks about taking control of the situation. And the Pentacles is earth energy, right? So, or our earth energy. So it's about the sense of well-being. So because the people that the victims of Bob somehow, some way, according to Bob, have created some kind of angst within Bob, created some kind of pain or poked at some kind of pain that Bob carries. Okay. He's judging the jury with the Judgment card. They deserve it because they hurt Bob some way. Okay, because as we get a little bit further, Bob was hurt in his childhood. All right, so Nine of Pentacles. I also want to say as a side note that perhaps Bob somehow, some way, initially interacts with these people with something for sale, some way. Maybe he has stuff on Marketplace, Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist, some kind of ad, some kind of local newspapers, perhaps, something for sale or trade in some way. Or perhaps Bob just randomly approaches people and says, hey, like they do in New York City, right? They just whipping open their jacket and saying, hey, I got watches, right? You want a watch? But, or maybe negotiates a cigarette, right? Hey, you got a cigarette? Or hey, you got a lighter of some, in some way. So somehow Bob's initial interaction with these people, I believe, has something to do with bartering, trade, or money in some way. Okay? All right. Now, the Chariot in reverse. This Chariot in reverse is about being out of control. Bob is out of control of his own life. Bob is very out of control of himself on the inside, on the deep inside. Six of Cups in reverse. Bob has childhood woundings, Eight of Cups, that he is consistently living in. Consistently living in his childhood woundings. Okay? And the Knight of Wands comes on top of this and talks about inspired action forward. So Bob's consistently living in his childhood woundings, and somehow the judgment that he is inflicting upon his victims brings some kind of satisfaction or satiety to the emotional wounding that Bob is living in from his childhood. Okay? Again, judgment. He says deserving. They hurt me, so now I am going to give them what they're owed. Okay? All right. Again, the Princess of Cups to the Ace of Pentacles. Okay, this Princess of Cups is engagement. Ace of Pentacles is something new, and it takes me back to that Nine of Pentacles. Okay, somehow he initially engages with his victims in some kind of transaction of some sort. Hey, I'll give you $1 if you got an extra cigarette. Or, like I said before, you got a lighter. Or, hey, I got puppies for sale in the parking lot at a Walmart somewhere. Some kind of interaction, a negotiating interaction happens between him and his victims. All right. Perhaps it is a, I don't know why I just got hotel room. Maybe he's a hotel clerk. Interesting. Nevertheless, the two, and I keep saying he, masculine energy, okay? So Bob, he, we're just doing it, all right? Could be a woman, could be. I'm not ruling it out, okay? All right. Energy has no sex. It just has masculine or feminine tendencies, okay? Two of Swords in reverse. Two of Swords in reverse says they don't see it coming. They have no idea. They have no idea that Bob is setting them up. And I think Bob has interactions with people who somehow pass his test. Okay, somehow Bob does this Princess of Cups and the Ace of Pentacles with people, and they're nice to him, and he deems them worthy of being left alone somehow. Or maybe that's not even on Bob's mind when he's doing this interaction. Perhaps when he's doing this interaction, he's not hunting a victim when he's doing this interaction. Perhaps the victim is chosen or happens because it triggers Bob's subconscious childhood wounding. Oh, yeah. All right. So they have no idea. The Three of Wands in reverse. This is a lack of foresight. See, I don't know if Bob has an idea. I don't think that Bob is hunting. I don't think that he's planning. I think that Bob is a combustible psychopath or possibly sociopath, maybe more of than a psychopath, because Bob knows. He knows what he's doing here, okay? He knows what he's doing, and he's doing it on purpose. Page of Swords in reverse, all talk, no action, undelivered promises. Perhaps this is some kind of verbal exchange that doesn't go well that sets Bob off. Perhaps all talk, no action, undelivered promises is someone who turns him down. Maybe he has something for sale and they come to see it and they're like, no thanks, it's not what I thought it was, and Bob gets pissed off. Perhaps it is a mental rejection of some sort where maybe Bob says, hey, you got $1, I need $1, you got $1, and the person, instead of saying, oh man, I'm sorry, I don't have $1, I can Venmo you, but I don't have $1, right? Instead of the person who says, go get a job, you slob, right? Perhaps there is some kind of mental trigger that happens here with Bob in the interaction, and the victims have no idea that Bob is even planning on harming them in some way. All right. Whew. Goodness. Second row, first card. The Four of Pentacles. The Four of Pentacles is about stability and control in the sense of well-being. And the Seven of Swords comes on top of it and talks about betrayal, deception, and getting away with something. It also is about having the upper hand. Perhaps Bob doesn't like the attitude of some of the people that he comes into contact with and needs to put them in their place somehow. Perhaps the people that he chooses as victims try to get the upper hand on Bob somehow. Okay. More importantly, this Four of Pentacles to the Ace of Swords in reverse talks about mental chaos, a lack of clarity, mental chaos. The Four of Pentacles is about trying to maintain control. Bob knows he is mentally unstable. Bob battles demons inside of his head. Okay? And when he's having this interaction with a potential victim, Bob hears the voices after it's over, or maybe during. Bob hears the voices somehow inside of him saying, this person deserves some discipline. This person deserves discipline. And oh my gosh, I think that's what that Six of Cups in reverse right there is. The lingering issues from his past is, I think Bob was unjustly disciplined in his life for not acting in a certain way. I don't think it was for acting in a certain way. I think it was for not acting in a certain way. And that's his expectations of his victims, of people, that you should act in a certain way. And if you don't act in a certain way, you deserve judgment. Wow, you guys, that's heavy. That's heavy. The Three of Swords, grief and sorrow and pain in the mind, and the Tower in reverse, averting disaster. The Devil in reverse, detaching releasing limiting beliefs, right? So what happens when Bob has the interaction with his potential victim? All of this comes to the surface in a split second. In a split second, when this Page of Swords in reverse happens, all of this rises to the surface inside of Bob. Yes, 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 yes. Bob is very sensitive to judgment. Bob doesn't want to be judged. Oh, perhaps all of this is about people judging Bob. And the people who judge Bob trigger his woundings, and then Bob retaliates. All right. So the Ace of Pentacles in the center of the reading. This is a new sense of well-being. Bob enjoys what Bob is doing. Eight of Wands in reverse, but he tries to hold off. Back to that Four of Pentacles. He tries to control himself, but he can't. Eight of Swords in reverse, new perspective, the Hermit withdrawing, okay? Bob really tries to stay away from people. He does. He tries to stay away from people. He hermits himself. Perhaps Bob lives in the woods. Maybe Bob lives in the woods. Maybe he goes to truck stops or hitches rides with truck drivers to different destinations. Perhaps Bob is a vagrant, is a homeless person per se. And perhaps the disrespect that he feels from his victims, true or not, Bob's perspective come from the way that we sometimes treat homeless people. Interesting. Bob tries to understand himself. The Three of Cups to the Queen of Swords in reverse, but Bob hates people. Bob hates people. He doesn't like people at all because people hurt him some way. People can't be trusted, and Bob is very salty, very angry about people, possibly even people who try to be fake. I don't know if any of his victims were well off or from well-to-do families. I don't know, but he doesn't like people. Yes, look. The Eight of Cups to the Ten of Wands to the Seven of Cups in reverse. Seven of Cups in reverse is about delusion. Delusional. Bob is delusional. He is. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe Bob is personality disorder, sociopathic, perhaps slightly schizophrenic, maybe, if there is a thing as slightly, I don't know. But Bob is definitely emotionally and mentally unwell. And I don't think Bob is keeping it on the down low. I think Bob is genuinely, like outwardly, emotionally and mentally unwell. The Eight of Cups, the Ten of Wands, the burden, the struggle, the emotional rejection, the delusion, right? King of Wands in reverse, lack of success, the Three of Pentacles in reverse, a lack of teamwork and collaboration. He's an outcast. He doesn't get along well with people at all. Not at all. Perhaps he's egocentric and self-centered, and maybe that's where the snide comments and stuff are coming from, is, get a hold of yourself, bubs, or something like that, right? But Bob is out of control of himself. He doesn't fit in, and he is, I do believe, some kind of dweller of some sort, somewhere. All right, the Queen of Swords. Queen of Swords being mind control, the truth, mind control, the Six of Swords in reverse, a lot of mental baggage, tons of mental baggage. So Bob tries to control himself. He does try to control himself. Perhaps Bob lives by water. Well, that would make sense if the East Coast is the shoreline, right? But I see swampy area, maybe not swampy, but like cattails, right? I don't know where that's coming from. All right, to the Emperor in reverse. Again, reiterating, Bob is out of control of himself. I think Bob's dad or a male figure in Bob's life is the reason that Bob was abused so badly as a child. For sure, for sure, for sure. Okay. Four of Cups in reverse, emotional rejection, right? Straight up, pure emotional rejection. That's what his mental baggage is all about. All right. Five of Swords in reverse talks about resentment, tons of resentment to the Prince of Swords, and that is his driving motivation. This is also about communication. And then to the Eight of Pentacles, again, talking about buying, selling, trading something, communicating with people somehow to exchange something. I also see here, is screwed up as it is, I see branding or burning in some way. I don't know if that maybe happened to Bob or if Bob is doing that to people, but I see branding or burning in some way. And then the Four of Cups in reverse, again, emotional apathy. Bob does not feel, because of what happened to Bob the serial killer in his childhood, Bob does not relate emotionally to people. He is emotionally apathetic because of the emotional rejection that was the root of his abuse as a child. And let's hope I'm not right about that Eight of Pentacles on either side, okay? So he's emotionally apathetic. He does not connect to people. Princess of Swords in reverse again. All talk, no action, undelivered promises. It also talks about snide remarks and maybe sometimes misinterpreted communication. To the Six of Wands in reverse, a lack of success, not overcoming the battle. Let me work through this. To the Hanged Man. All right. The Hangman, right? Waiting, hanging. I think this Hangman is about him trying to control himself. He tries to control himself, but he's so imbalanced on the inside, right? That he breaks. The Ten of Swords, and this is the victimization happening right here in the Ten of Swords. This is his judgment on his victims. And then the Devil in reverse talks about releasing from toxicity. The Sun in reverse, the unhealed child. Again, they also saying they don't see it coming. And the King of Swords in reverse, this is a misuse of power. Somehow Bob tricks people into this. He's tricking them somehow, right? They don't see it coming. Again, reiterating that. But the Sun in reverse is also about the unhealed child and the toxicity. And the King of Swords is mentally abusive, mentally manipulative. Look, the Nine of Wands in reverse. So I think what Bob is saying here is that anytime he sees someone, look, Five of Cups in reverse and the Emperor in reverse, moving on from loss, regret, despair, disappointment, and that same Emperor in reverse that was the perpetrator of Bob's abuse as a child. So what all of this is saying right here is that when someone triggers Bob, that reminds him of this person who was abusive to him. It could be a word, it could be a look, it could be a facial expression. Something triggers Bob and takes him immediately back to this abuser, Bob's abuser in his past. Yes, absolutely. Two of Cups, the Magician, and Bob makes nice. He feigns that it's going to be a good thing somehow, right? he creates the situation. He manifests the situation to come into contact with these people. Again, takes me back to bartering or exchanging or selling something. It's not just, yeah, that's his initial engagement with these people, is the exchange of something. 9 of Pentacles and strength in reverse. Maybe he targets rich people or people that he thinks are well-to-do somehow. Perhaps the victims have something to do with families that are well-to-do in some kind of roundabout kind of way. I don't know, man. I don't know. But Bob's, the weakness of the situation has to do around the rejection of Bob in this interaction. All right. All right. All right. Bottom of the deck is Temperance, right? Tempering himself, and the Hermit in reverse is about withdrawing. So Bob's laying low right now. Yes, yes, yes. Bob is laying low right now. The Fool to the 9 of Cups. Bob's trying to be in control of himself, but Bob has an urge to emotionally fulfill himself by raining down judgment on someone who reminds him of his own abuser in some kind of Bob only knows kind of way. And it emotionally satisfies Bob to do this because Bob was out of control. He couldn't defend himself or his loved ones somehow from this emperor. And it brings Bob a great deal of emotional fulfillment to rain down judgment on people that he thinks are somehow like his father. And I want to say also that his victims may not be just for in and of themselves. Perhaps his victims are punishing someone else. Okay? Maybe his victims aren't the victims at all. Maybe the victims in Bob's mind are the people that he's hurting by hurting their people somehow, some way. I'm very interested to see how this all turns out. I hope Bob can keep himself under control. I hope they find Bob before he decides that the Fool and the 9 of Cups is worth the risk again. Anyway, that is what these cards say about the suspected serial killer on the East Coast. I do hope you enjoyed that. Namaste. Before we go, I want to ask a question here. So, music, look at that. I was going to ask, you guys saw that, I was going to ask, what does this person do for a living? How does this person make their money? And before I could even shuffle the cards, music flew out. Anything else that we need to know? Look, relationship change. Perhaps the trigger for Bob to go off the deep end in the first place was some kind of a relationship change. Perhaps this abuser died. Or perhaps Bob got a divorce, but Bob had some kind of gigantic relationship change in his life that sent him over the edge with the initial freak out that he had. And I asked, like I said a while ago, music, okay? Bob has something to do with music. He absolutely has something to do with music. And I want to ask one more question here. Spirit. Where do we look for Bob? Where do we find Bob? Where do we find Bob, Spirit? Where do we find Bob? Where is Bob at? Where do we find this serial killer here, Spirit? The Wheel of Fortune. The Wheel of Fortune. The Wheel of Fortune. A casino? A casino, maybe? Music? Casino? Perhaps that's how he meets his people. Maybe that's the exchange. Maybe he gets paid money for playing music at a casino, and that's where he meets people at. So the Wheel of Fortune, what else could this be? Where can we find Bob, Spirit? Where can we find Bob? Where can we find Bob? Seven of Cups. Seven of Cups and the Fool. Seven of Cups, when I look at it, looks like an audience to me. Perhaps he's choosing someone out of the audience. Perhaps he sees all the world as an audience of some sort. Options, choices, decisions, and then the Fool. The Fool, brand new beginning, brand new journey, and the Ace of Pentacles in reverse. All right, so Bob is somehow involved in music some way, okay? He's involved in music. And when this, remember I said maybe he was a vagrant of some sort, right? When Bob's music gig changes, wears out, or he can't collect change on the street anymore or something, okay? The wheel, he moves, okay? He moves. Options, choices, decisions to the Fool. This is going wherever it is that he wants to go. Look, the Ace of Pentacles, when the money dries up. So when the money dries up from Bob's music, whatever that is, he could maybe he's a freaking rock star, or maybe he's playing the guitar on a street corner, okay? Somewhere in that spectrum, Bob is involved in music. Okay, and when and the wheel indicates moving or going from place to place to place. Okay, and the Seven of Cups is he doesn't really ever know where he's going to go next. The Fool, wherever the wind blows him is where he goes, and when he gets there, he plays music. The Ace of Pentacles in reverse. When the money dries up where he is, he moves to the next place and plays music. So if there's any cops out there watching this, seriously, look at this type of situation and you just might find the serial killer that you're looking for. Okay? All right, y'all. Namaste. You are a soul having a human experience, not a human having a soul experience. You are a beautiful thread in the tapestry of universal order. You are ancient and never-ending. You have a purpose, this life experience has meaning, and you are important. Your journey on this planet, in this lifetime, is not by accident. You are exactly where you need to be right now. Walk with me through the antiquated concepts of spiritual ascension with a step-by-step guidebook to help you find your higher self and mesh your consciousness with your soul's guidance to live with intention and purpose. This book is gender neutral, religion neutral, and judgment free. It is a safe place to explore and expand your desire for growth and understanding. There is no agenda here. There is nothing that you should or should not be. Just straight talk that will challenge everything you think you know about this thing called life.